Okay.
She has a fair point.
We're doing the jokes today, but I do have random questions to get to. I do want to have some type of structure.
Then you should have invited me.
There will be order.
You were on my couch 10 minutes ago. Anyway, do you all feel that you have to watch classics of a genre or play classics of a video game to be considered a true gaming fan?
Absolutely not.
Emily, your mic is unmuted. This comes up because when I saw Jessie today, she talked about watching Studio Ghibli movies. I haven't seen them all. I don't even think I've seen a third of them. And I'm not pressed to do it. And I'm not gonna.
I haven't even seen all of them. There's only specific ones I've rewatched a gazillion times. So there are ones I would like for you to watch, but I would not ask you to watch all of them because I fucking haven't.
Yeah. Like, if we're chilling at night and you put on, like, Kiki's Delivery Service, I'm not gonna say no.
Hey,
but,
can
like,
you not? That's like my favorite.
Hey, can you not?
Okay.
What's the deal?
She doesn't like Kiki's.
Why?
I don't.
The girl's got a really odd
All right,
voice.
well, Totoro's terrible. I'm kidding. I haven't seen it.
Emily,
Moving
it's time
on.
to go. Let's go.
No.
I'm literally
Sit
kidding.
down.
I haven't seen it. But, like, at some points, it feels like homework when you're, like, forced to watch the classics. Like, I do think there's shows and games everybody should see or play. Like, everybody should watch fucking Death Note, staple of the genre, just to get an opinion on it. You don't have to like it. Like, everybody should watch Cowboy Bebop, just to see. You don't have to like it.
Not the live action, though.
But, like,
No.
no, of course not. I wasn't even there. But, like, Neon Genesis Evangelion, that's a lot to get into.
Yeah, I haven't
Like,
watched
it's a classic of the genre, but, like, you don't have to because it takes a lot for
I
you
think
to invest in
it's
it.
hard too because people's definition of the classics is different for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, because for me, Wolf's Rain is a classic anime.
Which I literally never heard of until we moved in together.
What'd you say?
Wolf's Rain? Are
Never heard of it.
you serious?
100%.
Oh my god.
It's one of our favorite
I
animes.
wish I could lie to you right now.
I fucking binged that shit in high school over and over again. It's
And
so good.
I never heard of it until you moved in with me. I think one of the hardest things too when it comes to the classics, is especially like growing up, my first dose of anime was on Toonami and Adult Swim. A lot of those watching back now as an adult are extremely hard to watch, like Case Detective and like
The Conan case files is hard
Yeah.
to get. All
well,
right.
like no, like I watched it, but for like some of them are really good, but like the art styles is not everybody's thing now. The animation is harder. That for like a lot of people, they just can't get into it. And I think we've talked about it on another podcast. I think the old school animes did more with less. Like Trigun and Cowboy Bebop told entire storylines in 26 episodes that series now take seasons to do. And I think it's a different art form. But I don't think you need to watch those to be able to be considered an anime fan. If your first douse of anime is My Hero, you're just as much as a fan as somebody who's watched every single anime that comes out. That's just my opinion on it.
Cook, I haven't played a single minute of a single Zelda game. Am I not a gamer?
No.
Wait.
Oh, isn't Zelda?
I was confused for a hot second when you just stared at me. I'm like, uh-oh.
No, you look like you were going to say something, and then I realized you weren't, and I just was like, all right, we're going to keep moving. Like, isn't Zelda the green one? Literal kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Now you're pushing your luck.
I saw the vein pop in your head, and I'm like, let me stop before he jumps over this table. No, I've never played a single Zelda game. Not one. I don't even like any Mario games. I hate the jumping puzzles. Mario's the reason I don't like jumping puzzles in games today.
Yeah, like I never played Kingdom Hearts. Like I knew I heard about
Oh!
it, and my friends
Yeah, I
played
never
it.
played it
Oh,
either.
are you
But
gonna
it
complain, Evan?
was-
You gonna complain?
She, this is a safe space, but I want you to know your mic almost got muted. This is a safe space, but oh, buddy.
Well, because for me, like growing up, like I didn't have a lot of gaming consoles. Like that wasn't a thing. Like that I, as a girl, was given. It was all my brothers.
And like, I don't know if it's the same for you. My brother unintentionally hoarded the gaming systems. So I never got a chance to really play video games growing up.
Like I was allowed to play Barbie horse riding games on Xbox.
Me too. I hated that.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, I have watched Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube and played through in every single level that I'm pretty sure I, to this day, can play it through without actually like remembering it. To the point
I
where like,
love watching people play Resident Evil games.
yeah, to the point where my brother once screamed until I woke up as a kid to come out and sit with him. And he's like, hey, I don't remember this. It was to the point where I was like, hey, walk this way, shoot that guy, immediately turn the corner, shoot that guy, but go back to the first guy because the thing's going to pop out of his head, and then that dude's going to pop out, and you got to go back to the second. Like, I knew all of that, but I never got a chance to play it because he was always playing.
As a diehard Resident Evil fan since I was like 5 or 6 years old, that makes me so happy to hear.
I actually have the original on GameCube still, and I'm like a little terrified to play
I
it.
literally have every single of the GameCube games in
Okay.
almost pristine condition.
That's just scary. Not gonna play it because I remember I was young.
I will make you play.
I'll tell you what. My first introduction to any of the horror suspense genre was when I was like 13 or 14. I had no idea this was a thing. Like, I was playing Gears of War at like 14, 15. So chainsawing these little underground aliens with a gun was easy for me. The gore didn't bother me. Then I played Fear. And let me tell you, the first mission, I put it down. I was like, whoa, we're good. Because I remember just going up these stairs. The lights are flickering. Papers and cans are flying, creating the suspense. Then I get to the roof, and a guy smacks me in the face with a shovel, and I jumped off the ground. My vertical would have got me in the NBA. I was terrified. And I was like, yep, we're good. We're done. And then a couple weeks ago, Cook is playing Dead Space live. And I'm like, I know I have no control over what happens. I'm scared. All the lights are on in my house.
I think for me, like, the thought, and I was rewatching, I think it was Achievement Hunter play Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube. It was a whole different thing of how it could be scary was because there's no autosave. So in Resident Evil, you had to find, I think it was 2 things, right? For Resident Evil? You had to find ink and a paper, and then you had certain areas you were allowed to save. That was the only place you could save. So if you make it through and then battle all of these dudes, it's no like, hey, pick up at this final boss that you've already defeated all this underlings. You end up back in the other spot, have to defeat all of the underlings again, and then fight the boss. So I think that was, for me, has always been like the scariest thing about old horror video games.
I don't like playing horror video games, but I love watching people play them.
My favorite is for like the half minute you were streaming in the house playing Phasmophobia, and wherever I was in the house, I could just hear like shrieks. But before it would play through on Twitch, because I was always streaming you too, I could hear the gaming chair freak out of you freaking out, and then I know I was like, oh, this bitch is about to die. And then sure enough, the lag would come through, and I would see you dying, and I was like, oh yeah, no, she got.
I'm not good at horror games.
Well, it didn't help you would play it in the background, like in the all dark room.
Oh yeah, all dark room with like a red light.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a dumb mistake.
That just brought something else completely up. Have y'all ever had a moment just like this? There was, over quarantine, where I still had my PlayStation for like a day. I think I got an Xbox soon after. No, not over quarantine, just beforehand. I was playing Spider-Man PS4. Love that game. Top to bottom, it's excellent. And it was such a good time for me because I actually still had to go to work. Our roommate, my man's Edgar at the time, still had to go to work. So it's just me waking up, chilling all day in the same clothes I woke up in, doing nothing but being on the couch all day. So I'm playing through this game, right? And Ashley went into work late for some reason. Might have been a power outage. It's like noon, all right? I sit down, I start playing. She's like, all right, I'll be back at like 4 or 5. I'm like, all right, cool. And then it honestly felt like an hour later. She comes back, and I'm like, that was it? What happened? Like, did the power go out again? She was like, Evan, I've been gone for like 6 hours. And I was like, excuse me?
That happens so much.
Because all I
Same.
did, like, I sat on the couch the entire time, and I only got up 3 times. 1 to go pee, 1 to get chicken nuggets out the air fryer, and 1 to let the dog out. And it all felt like it was within 1 hour.
So let me explain. Let me get this straight. You just open up the air fryer and you put the food in?
All right. I'm saying air fryers work too good. Like, if in 10 years we get one of those commercials, if you or a loved one use an air fryer, you may be entitled to financial compensation. If that happens, I'm going to be like, well, I knew it. Those things work too good. You don't put no oil in them.
For context for
Dead
audio
ass?
listeners. Dead ass. So for context.
Don't trust it.
Every time we used an air fryer for like 4 months, that's all Evan used to say. So let me get this straight. You just put the food in and it fries it with air. So now I bring it up every time he says an air fryer.
You telling me a shrimp fried this rice?
But that has happened to me too. I was back when my old roommate lived with me. She was working like 8 to 2 or something. And she was going into work and I was like, all right, bye, have a good one. And I was playing Tomb Raider. And I sat down and I was like, oh, I had gotten to like a new part in the map and I had defeated everything. And I remember I was like really struggling with these wolves and I had finally just killed them. And I hear a car and I was like, that's weird. She forgot something. And like, I like came out of it. I realized I haven't moved. I haven't peed. I haven't eaten. I had zoned out sitting on the couch because like the sun had gone down. Like, or like she was working like a 10 to 8. So like the sun had gone down. I was like, oh, I fucked up. I fucked up. And then like I was like, I gotta do something. So I quickly shut off the video game. Like I wasn't just playing it for the last 8 hours. I'm like got up and started like doing dishes. Like we didn't even have. I just grabbed shit off the counter and started like washing. Like I was doing something today. Like, I was productive. My Xbox is crying in the corner. Like thank God you shut me off. Breathe.
Xbox was hot as shit. The fan stopped working 4 hours ago.
I almost got the red ring of death.
Oh, that's a throwback and a half right there.
I know, right?
Yeah, like Evan said, I play a fuck ton of Genshin, and it's a lot of just domain and artifact farming, like, and getting all these, like, items for your weapons and shit. And so Emily will come home, and she'll be like, did you eat? And I'll be like, when did you leave?
My favorite is the one time I didn't tell you I was coming home at 3 a.m. because I work the night shift. And
I got caught.
I had, like, just texted and I was like, hey, I might be taking the night off. I might be coming home early, so if you hear noise, don't freak out. It's just me coming home. So I'm, like, sneaking in the house because I don't want to wake her up. And I pull into the driveway. But I notice all the lights are on still in my living room. I open up the door and this bitch is on the couch and I went, go to bed. You have work in 7 hours.
I'm just sitting there on my phone like, but man.
But I got a farm.
I know you got something for this.
Oh yeah. Accessing my memory banks to the like most like oh god moment. Back when I lived with my parents back in like 2013, I worked midnight shift at a hotel. So my days off, I'd wind up getting up at a certain point to where they would like fall asleep and they wouldn't wake up before I went to bed on my days off because I tried to have a normal life on my days off. But I'd play something, have my bedroom door still open, all of a sudden I hear, are you still awake up there? I'm like, what do you mean? We've been up for like 6 hours. It's like 11 a.m. I'm like, wait, what? No.
No. What do you mean?
No. Like, I would go to bed, like, as soon as I got home after my shift. So I'm like, I was up, like, 5 hours after I would normally go to bed. So I'm like, no. My sleep schedule. It's ruined.
That's me. I get home at, like, midnight. And so, like, if I get a second wind, I'm up to, like, fucking 4 a.m.
I definitely had a moment like that back when I was in the Sioux and I worked at the grocery store. Because my normal schedule, I worked evenings. I would work 4, 5, or 6 to midnight. And when I didn't have class, I would have to tell myself, either I'm going to bed at 12:45 or I'm just up till 2:30. And either I'm going to bed at 2:30 or I'm up till 5. Mm-hmm. So it was this one quest in Destiny that my friend told me about. Like, it was really hard, and I had to break through it by myself because I'm too self-aware to reach out to people online. Like, hey, do you guys want to help me? So I broke through by myself. I was like, hell yeah, man. Just got off work. It's midnight. It's 12:30. I'm hyped. And I'm like, I'm just going to do the next mission. I'm good. Mind you, I had to be to work the next day at like 10 a.m. So I'm like, all right, I'm good. I'm just going to do this one mission. And then that one mission turned into like, oh, go kill 500 aliens over here and go do like 3 of these missions. I'm like, oh, light work. So I started doing that. And then by this point, I'm just so engaged in it. I noticed the sun's coming up. And I'm like, oh, no.
Oh, no.
It was like 7:50. And I'm like, I'm going to sleep for like 2 hours before I have to walk back to work. I'm still in my work clothes.
You're already ready.
It was like that scene in Everybody Hates Chris. I just laid down for an hour, just hopped back up. I should have just stayed up the whole time because like I felt like garbage juice trying to sleep and wake up for an hour. I should have just went straight to work. That was the worst shift of my life.
I bet.
And I've worked at that grocery store hungover.